Let's talk about it. Rent increases in 2025. Let's get into the clips.
I don't know about anybody else, but for 2025, I'm locking in on my apartment. Okay, I'm not going nowhere. I'm staying home. I'm tired of paying these high prices rent. I'm over it. I'm locking in my place. That's it. I will make a gym in a little corner somewhere. I will read. I will watch me 1,000 movies before I continue to go outside. There's nothing outside for me. I'm tired of paying rent. I'm over it. Then they got the nerve to go up 4% every year. Like how? Why?
Yeah, rent is ridiculously high right now, and pretty much you're screwed either way you go. I mean, housing is high, interest rates are high, rent every time you turn around, they're definitely raising it. So I don't blame you, sis. She said, I'm not going nowhere. Everything I do is going to be inside this house.
Cost of everything has gone up a bajillion dollars. So let's open my lease renewal and see how much my rent is going to be next year. This will be my fourth year going into this apartment lease. When I first signed, my rent was $795. It then went up to $840, and then it went up to $860. $899. $900 a month, you guys. I need to find a rich man. That's all I'm saying, because $900 a month? A month? I'm just grateful I have an apartment. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. But it's tough out there, y'all. Stay safe, stay warm.
She said she need a man with them bands. I'm not sure where she's located. She doesn't mention it, but $900 a month sounds pretty fair in this climate that we're in now. I'm not sure if that's a studio or one bedroom, but I mean, you got one bedrooms going for 23, 24, 2,500 a month. Studios going for 2 grand, 1,900. So 900 sounds pretty fair. I'm not gonna lie.
Rental crisis in Australia is so fucking bad right now. I went for a property inspection last week for a one-bedroom apartment, right? As I got there was a horde of people waiting outside just to inspect this place. And this was a shitty cheap fucking rental for like, what, 400 a week, 800 a fortnight? On the outside, the place was like falling apart. There was cracks everywhere. Grass was like, has not been mowed for fucking ages. The place was just so decrepit. And when the real estate agent rocked up, yeah, we looked inside. As we entered, we were hit with this horrible stench of death. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I have to let everyone know that the last tenant died about a month ago." So just to let you know. I'm like, "Oh wow, it's only been a month," and they just scooped all his belongings out and just whacked it up on the rent. Lovely. What a time to be alive.
So even in Australia, these rent prices are out of control. That's diabolical that the person died a month before and they didn't even think to try to remove the stem cell, try to do some type of deep cleaning. They just said, hey, they're desperate enough. We'll throw it up there for rent and just, hey, by the way, someone died here, 30 days ago, carry on. Insane.
Hit with, oh, but your rent's going to be going up in 30 days.
It's happening to millions of tenants in the city and county of LA. Letters like this one are being sent to renters, informing them of upcoming rent increases. For Jasmine Canick, who lives in the West Adams district, her rent is set to rise by 4%.
4% is a lot of money. It's not $20, $30. It's usually $100 or more.
In Los Angeles, the maximum rent increase for rent-controlled properties is capped at 4%. However, landlords may add an additional 2% if they cover gas and electricity for their tenants. For non-rent controlled properties, rent increases can go as high as 8.9%. Jasmine says even with the minimum wage increasing to $17.81 per hour in LA County this July, it's still a struggle to pay the rent.
I remember in California when they were talking about, raising the minimum wage, and a lot of people were, excited. But I knew that it would do nothing. I mean, once the landlords figured out that you had more money, because there's a base minimum wage of, let's say, they said almost $18. They were just going to adjust rates, rental rates, to take any extra money that you may have. Again, like I said, California in general is not a place to be playing around if you do not have your money right. Extremely expensive to live there. I mean, rental costs are off the charts. I mean, even trying to buy a home. I mean, they got homes, literally in the slums that go for 900,000, 800,000, almost $1 million. Again, if your money is not right, stay far, far away from California.
So guys, I'm contemplating a move to Detroit because New York rents are just so expensive, and it's to the point where you have to make like 200, 300K just to be comfortable here. And I'm in my mid 30s. I'm from here. I'm from Canarsie. I lived over in Utica for a decade. I lived in the hood. I lived in the hood. My family's from pink houses. So I paid my fucking dues. I paid my dues living here. And I can't do this anymore. I'm going through an issue with my landlord, so I'm moving out. She's also raising a rent to $5,500. I currently pay $32. 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, and a private backyard.
5,500 from 32 to 55. Woo. I see why you considering locating. 5,500. We talk about that's almost about 60 something thousand dollars a year just on rent. Yeah, that's insane.
1 bedroom's my office, and for $3,200 a month, I've spent $84,000 in the past 3 years on rent. And it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's no reason why people are making 150K, 175K, and you are still struggling. And people are like, oh, you make that much money, you don't know how to make. It's not about that. The more money you make in the city, the more they tax you and the more shit they take from you. Literally. If you have money, there's no such thing as being a middle class here. You either have to be low, I hate the word low class to be honest, but basically poverty level, making 20, 30, 40K. In New York, that's poverty level. Or you got to be 250 and up to be comfortable. We get taxed. The middle people, we get taxed so much. So much. So much. Where we do live paycheck to paycheck. And I'm a freelancer. I don't have a full-time gig where I get paid every 2 weeks. I wait for paychecks. Sometimes I was just fighting with a fucking company to pay me a 10K paycheck, which I didn't get for over 6 months. So imagine, yeah, I'm making good money, but if I gotta wait 3 months, 6 months, 2 months, 4 months, a year for a paycheck, you live in paycheck to paycheck as a freelance independent person. And so I'm it comes to a point where it's I paid my dues, I'm older, I'm in my mid 30s, and I want to relax, I want to be comfortable, and I want to look for my future in New York. Ain't it anymore. I think Detroit's the new move. I've been looking at a place called Corktown. One of my best friends lives over there, and I've been watching YouTube videos of driving through Corktown, and it looks beautiful. It looks beautiful. I found a triplex loft. Yes, a loft that had 25-foot ceilings that they broke into 3 levels, split levels, and it's only $2,400. It has private rooftop, private outdoor space, parking spot, laundry, washer, everything, and this is what life should be like. There's so much more opportunity in Detroit, and I think New York's dub. New York's it.
Yeah, she definitely need to get out of New York stat. Just like I mentioned with California, New York is another place not to be playing around with if you do not have your money right. She was spot on with saying New York is either for people who are, like I said, are receiving some type of government assistance, or again, if you're not making 250, $300,000 a year in NYC, you could very well be like her and living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, she's already paying $3,200 a month in rent. Landlord is going to increase the rent to $5,500 a month. I mean, just think about that. That is absolutely insane. She needs to get out of New York and get out of there real fast.
Renter in Coral Gables is scrambling to find a new home after her landlord doubled her rent.
Sarah Espinosa, who is now forced to decide between two unwanted options. She can either accept the new rate hike that is doubling her rent or leave her home of 22 years.
The price hike is truly taking an impact on the renters who live and work in South Florida. And here in Coral Gables, we are seeing some of the largest rent increases in the region. And for Sarah Espinosa, who has lived in Coral Gables for more than 2 decades, she's now on the move after receiving this letter from her new landlord detailing a substantial rent increase. Sarah Espinosa has lived at this home for 22 years. She never dreamt of leaving Lejeune Road in Coral Gables, but last month on March 24th, a letter from her new landlord changed everything. They're telling you what your new rent is going to be per month. $3,500. How much of a sticker shock was that for you to see?
It was a big sticker.
I bet my bottom dollar she probably thought that that was a typo when she first saw how much the rent increase was in that letter.
Shock. I couldn't believe it.
Espinosa's rent jumped from $1,700 a month to $3,500 under the new landlord. It's a 106% increase.
I just wish that more landlords would be more understanding, and that I really do wish that the local government would do, or state government would do something.
Now, in this situation, I don't know. She said she's been here for 22 years. So you're telling me in 22 years, she never thought about trying to own a home, saving some money, putting some money to the side to ultimately own something. You can't get mad at the landlord if they purchase the property and 3,500 clearly is market rate. So it sounds like she's been paying below market rate for some time. It's been 22 years and you never thought of owning something. I mean, this is, ultimately what happens. Sadly, your fate is in other people's hands. Now she's been living here for 22 years and sadly, she's either going to come up with, twice the amount of rent, or more than likely she's going to have to move out and find somewhere else to live.
This is a message to private landlords, property managers, apartment complexes everywhere. If you're charging $2,000 and your requirement is that I make 4 times that to prove to you that I can pay for this apartment, don't you fucking think if I was making $8,000 a month that I would just buy a fucking house and not be renting or getting ripped off? Like, the fact that people fucking put that on an application is so fucking crazy. Don't worry about how the fuck I'm gonna pay your rent. As long as I'm paying it, why the fuck is that a problem? Am I the only one that thinks this? Or I don't think that's like a radical thing, but like, apparently this world is fucking crazy.
I did a video touching on 3 times the rent, but I mean, in this case, I guess in studio apartment on the south side, I'm not sure what state and city this is, but 4 times the rent. So essentially, for a $2,000 apartment, you need to make $8,000 a month. So essentially, if you're not making $100,000 a year, you will not be able to qualify for a $2,000 a month apartment. Again, it's getting serious out here. And to touch on the point she made about if she made 4 times the rent, wouldn't she just buy a house? Some people's, sadly, their credit and as far as the down payment is not in order, so they're stuck renting.
Will explode in this country. $1,900 rent that people complain about will be $4,000.
This man is not lying at all, because my rent right now is $1,700 a month. I got my tax return back and I got $97 and I work a good job. And I can basically cross the George Washington Bridge and be right in New York. So yeah, he's not lying. It's getting really expensive. Right here in New Jersey, they are building new apartments like crazy. They're remodeling houses, and for $1 million, you can't afford to live in these types of areas. I think this is God's way of saying, I gotta move. Because it's getting too high, it's getting too expensive, and I should trust the GOV/T? I don't think so. They stole from all of us for a war we never asked for. Let that sink in.
Again, it is not a game out here in 2025. You definitely have to make sure your money is right. These landlords are not playing. They want their money and they want their money now. Really, it's no escaping it. You can try your best to maneuver to other states, but what happens is people just usually, like I said, New York, they migrate to New Jersey. Now from Jersey, they're coming into Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, and ultimately these areas, the rents rise and ultimately wind up rivaling the place that you left in 3 to 5 years. Sadly, the only solution is to skill up, get you a side hustle, and try to own something. Again, like I said, it seems like the goal is here. They want everyone to be lifetime renters. So you have to do everything in your power to try to get some ownership, trying to get a house, try to get something paid off, and move from there. But let me know what you think in the comments below about these rent increases in 2025. How is it affecting you? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.